Alright, here I'm just cutting some 2-inch square tubing to start making the bottom frame out of. Once cleaned up, I'm going to get these things all squared up and welded together. Then you'll see here I'm going to put on the 3/16 inch thick steel top. Then I'll put some spacer pieces in to help keep the bottom of the actual frame solid, more rigid when it gets hot, and then I'll insulate it all up. This stuff is 2-inch thick. It's like ceramic insulation blanket. I think it's good to over 2,000 degrees Fahrenheit. I've used it quite a bit and I like the stuff, and it's just a lot. It's very easy to work with. Now that the base is all welded up, I'm going to go ahead and get these casters put on there, and then you'll see you'll get it turned over, get it on the floor, and we'll start putting some sides on this thing. Alright, these panels are 11 gauge or 1/8 inch thick mild steel pickled and oiled, and I gotta say this is actually quite challenging since they're so tall. I don't remember exactly how tall they are. I think they were like 5.5 feet tall, but quite heavy by themselves and kind of precarious to balance on top of that base and get them positioned for welding, but it did turn out pretty good. You can see I had to kind of cock or offset the panels as I was welding them in place on top of the base, because otherwise there would just be nothing to really support the bottom of the panels. But then once they're all together and I basically have a large box or rectangle, then I can go ahead and get it welded to the base, and then it went a lot smoother after this. And then get the top put on and basically start welding it out. So I'm about to show you guys here what the regular welded corner kind of looks like, doing a downhill weld for me, and then what it looks like afterwards, after I've ground it down and made it all smooth. I will say I do like the look of a nice ground down weld a lot better. However, it takes way more work, and as soon as I get better at laying down stacks, then I'll be doing a lot less weld grinding. Now I'm here just laying out the cook or firebox door and the main cook chamber door, and then I'll start getting these things cut out, and then my neighbor's gonna stop by at the perfect time and help me get this main door piece off. You'll see here in just a sec. Yeah, buddy. Alright, so I'm gonna pull it towards me just so I can get a little handhold. This motherfucker is not like. Watch it. There you go. Oh, yeah, we're good. I got it. I got it. Sweet.
Wow.
Smile at the camera, Jerome. You're on camera too.
Oh man. What you cooking up today?
Some ribs. Alright, now that the main cook chamber door is removed, I'm just grinding down the edges, making sure everything's smooth. And then I kind of get away from the door here and I start cutting the angle iron pieces. These are 3/4 inch by 1/8 inch angle iron pieces to hold the main cooking grates. Then once I get a bunch of those cut out, then I'm going to hop over and finish cutting out the doors on the cooker. This is the firebox door. That's where the coal basket goes there on the bottom. So getting that all cut out, and then I'll get it cleaned up here and start welding on some flanges and just keeping this build going. You know, it's actually kind of deceiving how something as simple as just a door can take a lot of time and requires kind of a lot of attention to detail. And you'll see, because this is thinner metal, being 1/8 inch, I was really worried about this door potentially warping due to the heat and everything else. So I decided I would use some of that angle iron and kind of reinforce the back of it. And spoiler alert, the door is fine, but I wind up going a different route down the road anyway after a different mistake, or just whatever, opportunity for learning, however you want to word it. But you guys will see down here later on in the video, there's, I don't know, some issues that have to be addressed. Stay tuned. I will say, I think this part of the build was actually the most fun for me. Installing these cooking grate slides. They're 4 inches apart, so I was just using a 4-inch, I don't even remember what these things are called, like a fab block or something. But it's a perfect spacer, something you can clamp onto and everything. But it was just great how getting these things installed took very little time, and it just makes it look so much more complete and like evolved. Super fun doing that, super satisfying watching this while editing the video. Now I'm cutting out some 3/4 inch square tubing for the coal basket itself. I wanted to make the coal basket and make sure that I had everything spaced accordingly in the cook chamber, with the coal basket as one of the main references for spacing, because I wanted to use bigger slides. So there'll be, from the bottom to the top, an ash pan, the coal basket, and kind of a heat deflector / water pan. And I wanted to just make this frame for the coal basket right away for that reason. So the slides are made out of 1.5 inch by 1/8 inch angle iron, and I'm also using the same angle iron to kind of develop a frame right above where the water pan's going to be. And you'll see in the future of this video that I also attach some 4-inch flat bar to that frame to kind of make it more of a funneling effect, to where any drippings are going to go down into the water pan, and there won't be any real direct heat from the coal basket onto the food on the main cooking grates, because it has to kind of follow this tortuous path around the water pan and through this barrier that I just made. I know I'm going to get the door welded on. You'll see it's pretty short-lived. Well, not terribly short-lived, but either way, we'll get the door welded on there, and then I'll make a handle for the door, and then weld on a 3-inch gusset that I kind of cut a notch out that acts as a great latch catcher, or like door handle catcher, I guess I should say. But either way, those things work great. They're super cheap and kind of just get the job done. And here I'm starting to install on one of the air intake dampers, just using one of these kind of daisy wheel air intake dampers. I think I bought it on Amazon, and I just wanted to give these a try. They're inexpensive, they seem to kind of be well made, and I just wanted to give them a shot, and they're actually quite nice. I do like them a lot, so this works out pretty decent. As I was admiring the door and how it looked, I noticed a big gap up top. I thought for a second there the door got warped, but it wasn't. It was the actual frame, or the front face of the cooker. You can see all the barrier and kind of edge piece. Just not good. So, gotta fix it. Time to cut a slot down the center of that thing, kind of release the stress, and then get everything realigned and weld it back up together. This was kind of a kick in the pants, truth be told. So as I said, I cut the door off, removing this thing, and just wound up making a solid single pane door out of 3/16 inch thick steel. Just wanted it more heavy duty, and the old door just wasn't lining up right with the modified cooker now. So I was like, instead of sitting there trying to rework the old door, I was like, I'm just gonna put a different door on here, and I'm really glad I did. Now it's on to the main cook chamber door. This again is 1/8 inch thick steel, and I'm using 1/2 inch, I think it was 1/2 inch, either 1/2 inch or 3/4 inch square tubing to create a frame, because it's such a big door. I want it to be reinforced. So I built a frame, getting it cut out and then welded to the table. Then I'm drilling holes for the temperature gauge ports. There'll be 4 of them, and eventually I'll drill a hole for the handles as well. There's one on the top, one on the bottom, and then same 3-inch gusset. Get the notch cut out for the handles to sit into, and we can see what that looks like here in just a sec. It's always a good idea to take your grinder and kind of knock down all the sharp edges and kind of buff it out, just smooth it out. Here I'm making the dampers for the Smokestacks. And it's 3/16 inch thick, but I think it's 4-inch flat bar. And just making those things. Gonna get the holes cut out of the top. I got this little piece of 4-inch square tubing that I use as a template just to kind of plasma cut out the smokestack holes. Use it quite a bit. I like that 4-inch square tubing for smokestacks. Allows quite a bit of airflow and good control, and it just looks nice. And now it's just installing the damper handles. I think it's 1/2 inch tube with 3/8 bar. Or no, it's a 1/2 inch bar with I think 5/8 DLM tubing. Either way, it's a handle, it's a damper. Works great. And now for some really fast video of me making 10 cooking grates. Enjoy. Alright, I didn't want to bore you with all 10 of those cooking grates being built, so moving on to the 3/4 by 9 expanded metal. Cutting out 10 of these things. I think it took 2 whole sheets to get all 10 cooking grates fitted and then welded, and then stacking them into the cooker. Again, another one of those milestones in the build that just looked and felt really good. Alright, getting back to the coal basket. Getting this thing all fitted up. I already installed the expanded metal, and now I'm cutting a bunch of angle iron to reinforce the bottom. Or actually, it will be the bottom. It's all angle iron. Want it to be pretty heavy duty. And in hindsight, I think I was using a 1-inch spacer there to space out the angle iron, and I easily could have used a 3/4 inch just to tighten up those gaps a little bit, keep the coals in the basket a little bit longer, but live and learn. Alright, this is the water pan. It's a 1/4 inch thick steel, and you'll see here in a second, I have another blunder during this video. Check it out. I'm going to show you how to not be a dumbass like I am.
The heck, man, this thing's starting to cut really weird.
Oh, weird, it's not cutting right. Seems like it's blowing back. Maybe it's because you're cutting the edge of your fucking table, Nick. Dumb. That's just 100% user error right there. Well, that's a little embarrassing, but it happens. You just move on, and it really wasn't the end of the world. It's just kind of like, I feel like it was completely avoidable, but I just was probably working too fast or whatever. But either way, this thing's looking good. Alright, and here's the sheet for the ash pan. This is 14 gauge cold rolled steel, and this was actually really fun to build. I don't really deal with sheet metal all that much, or at least thinner gauge sheet metal. If I can talk. But this was fun to make. But I will say at the end, I actually wish I would have just made this out of 1/8 inch steel just to keep everything kind of extra sturdy and durable. Just because sheet metal is just, I don't know, don't want to say it's chintzy, but it is a bit flimsy when compared to the other metals that are being used. So that's something that I would have done different. But either way, it turns out good. I do enjoy just how easy it is to adjust the weld settings on this Millermatic. Welded this thin sheet metal really nice, didn't blow through once. Alright, getting the 2 handles cut up. This is some 1.5-inch pipe. I think it's schedule 10. It might be schedule 40. Don't really remember. There were drop pieces at my metal supplier. But wanted to go with some heavier duty handles, and making the handle brackets out of that same 4" by 3/16" inch thick flat bar. So again, heavy duty brackets, heavy duty handle, just I'd say makes moving this thing around a lot easier. And now they're getting welded on, and just like that, this cooker's just pretty much done. I didn't do any cook videos on this one, and I have some still images here showing the full cooker with all the trays out and everything. And I gotta say, this was a fun build. I learned a ton as always, and I know the guy really likes it, then cooks like a champ. So hope you guys got something out of this video. Appreciate you watching, and I'll see you in the next one.